Hello, everyone. I'm just uh, I'm just pulling in everyone's artwork for this review tonight, right now. So just bear with me. As folks are arriving, I'm just going to start bringing all the artwork in. Um, it's nice to see some names that are in this document. It's always shocking to see Sheridan portfolio submissions now and see like the scores because things have just gotten so competitive. I know you're probably all feeling this too, but it is just out of control, isn't it? And let me know in the chat what was I going to ask? Oh, I was just going to ask how many times have you folks applied? Is this your first time, second time, etc.? Oh, Maggie, you're here. So, ooh, first storyboard. Oh, it's Olivia. Down here, Olivia. Um, ooh, seven, that's not. Yeah, second time, but first time I was like 6 years ago. Oh wow. So you had a big gap, Abigail, between your first application and now. 6 years, that's enough time for a whole life in between there, isn't it? Maybe you did another program or something. Okay, so these are a bit of a mash. I'm gonna try to actually, you know what? We're probably, yeah, we're still waiting for some folks. So in the time that we're waiting, I'm just going to group folks by their name so that it just keeps it a little bit easier. Oh, that's just Olivia's. First time Alma, great. Second time Rama, okay. First time I was in high school, I didn't really care at the time. I hear ya. I was kind of there too, or at least it's not that I didn't care. I just had no idea what I don't know, like the expectation basically was. Wait, did I label this wrongly? We don't have a 14 or 15. Huh. Wow, Maggie, you got a 14 on your character. I mean, that's nearly perfect. That's 14 is fine, in my opinion. Because at that point, when you're talking about like 1 point off, like, I mean, it's up to subjective opinion at that point. And in my opinion, that's kind of how I treat that. But I mean, we could try to find something, but I mean, I've seen your character a lot, and it is an awesome character. Oh, this is Kinga's. I recognize this a mile away. Um, yeah, first time international. Okay. Um, yeah, Rama. Okay, so I didn't do the fan art thing, but I did do the yeah, not I didn't really understand what figure drawing, or at least what kind of figure drawing they were looking for. Oh, looks like this is yours, Fatima. And you're here. Great. Um, yeah, one thing that I didn't understand, and this was a few years ago when I applied, so it's maybe a little bit different than what you folks are experiencing because you can see all the awesome portfolios online. I mean, that alone is, well, it would be a benefit if everyone else can also see all the awesome portfolios online as well. Um, it's illuminating in a way, but it's hard to break free from it. That's always the problem when you have so much reference around, right? Um, same with using photo reference for illustration, by the way. It's like if you have too much photo reference, it's almost like it's hard to have your own imaginative input on that piece. Um, yeah. Yeah, competition was crazy. I mean, the thing is, 87 is pretty standard. 87, 88 as far as domestic acceptance. 92 is pretty high. It's on the higher end of things for international. I think last year maybe was 90. I can't quite remember. Um, and the year before, I don't know if it was the year before, but maybe 3 years ago, it was 95 one year for international. But then they were also marking a lot easier. So it's very hard to tell. Um, the cutoff 84. I think the cutoff was 87, as far as I know, for domestic Sona. Unless you know someone that got in with an 86, I don't. I don't, it was 84. It was 84? Oh, well, that's actually quite low. Wow. Why was international so high? Do you guys know what international was? Yeah, 84 is actually kind of great. That's more back to like a no. So it was 92. Yeah, I kind of thought it was around 92. So what that probably means is that there was less spots this year for international folks. Every now and then they change that up. So, of 140 students, maybe it'll be 25, maybe it'll be 30, maybe it'll be 35. Whenever they change that number, if they change that number, usually that is why there's a big dichotomy between the domestic and international score. Usually there's like about a 5 point difference, but 84 to 92, that's like, that's eight more. So probably there's less spots for international students. Maybe. Just a thought. Okay, well, let's get started, folks. Welcome. I do one of these every year. This is my little freebie. Just come and let's review some artwork and try to figure out how they scored what they did. It also just helps me learn. I'm always studying students' artwork and trying to figure out what scores were what. And shockingly, this year, I've been doing some portfolio interviews with the folks that were accepted, and for some folks, I guess like literally on the dot. So I feel pretty good about that. I have a pretty reasonably good guess, but of course, like anyone, I am fallible, and I occasionally will guess something and it's way off. So yeah, it kind of goes both ways. But nonetheless, I'm here to try and help you kind of understand. Um, Access to the recording. This is going to be posted to YouTube, Fatima. I mentioned that in the description of this video. So yes, absolutely, you and everyone else will have access. Part of the learning of this that I hope you, everyone here, as well as anyone watching this later, is that we can try to kind of understand, right? We all want to learn together what it takes to get into this super competitive program, and yeah. Yeah, like some of these I am literally shocked about. Like you're even here at all versus on the other end of things where I'm doing a portfolio interview with you. So anyway, let's see. Abigail, you're here, right? And also let me know if anyone needs to go soon, by the way. But Abigail, yours is first up. So um okay.
Hi.
Hey Abigail, how are you?
I'm good.
Great. Wow, this is a pretty fun character. Oh boy, you got 10, eh? Wow, what the heck? Well, I don't know if this one thought, and again, I don't know. I'm not like omniscient, so I don't know 100%. One guess, it like I don't know if having a character whose face that you chose to be the one that is the rotation pose as being a board expression is a good idea. Um, Now, that said, like you've achieved it extremely well. I actually love the face design. Um, it's a little too symmetrical, I would say. I mean, that's more of my specific design preference, but I don't love when things are like so symmetrical. I like how that is that way, but I mean, you had to do something. But otherwise, it's almost like flipped, like as if you flipped in the x-axis from the middle. I would diversify the design for sure. And this too, actually. Oh shoot, maybe this is part of it. I mean, this is asymmetrical, but you see how I mean, I can usually tell this. Yeah, so that is flipped. I think. I mean, it looks about as flipped as you can get. Um, I probably wouldn't do that. I would redraw and make a small variation, point it a little further down. That would have been a better pose anyways, to be like, kind of like that. Um, so yeah, I try not to have things be too symmetrical. That's one thing. I like how you made this not symmetrical. That's great. This is again, it's not quite the same stroke, but it's generally the same thing. It feels too much like you just inverted it in the x-axis. Um, yeah, I do really love the face. That's funny that one thing. There's a great character design sheet you can see for Klaus, for Alma, if you know that character, widely available online. Just Google like Alma character design, where they talk about like when you're dealing with like a character's face, you want it to have a sense of like roundness to it. So like this isn't maybe the best example. They do with their eyes, and they're like, okay, so it's not just like on the face flat. It's actually like three-dimensional, obviously. At least that's the illusion we want to convey here, right? So like you're maybe, yeah, you're squashing the x-axis a little bit of this eye, which is good. Obviously, the other side of the face, you could probably do it a little bit more. Not the y-axis. The y-axis is not, a lot of people do this where it's kind of like that, and I don't love that unless it's purposefully bug-eyed, you know? But it's too much of a distortion from one eye to the next. It never really changes that much if you look at a real person. It's like the same y-axis distance. X-axis, though, very different. And then the other thing is like that being straight across flattens it out for an otherwise very nicely 3D and realistic character. So, giving that an arc is truer to a three-dimensional form than just simply straight. So, but that said, like this is kind of an old school criticism in a way because there is a bit of a throwback to like two-dimensional design mechanics, and I do see this a lot where it's purposefully flat. It's not like unintentionally flat. Um, this is kind of a no-no too, how the eye just tucks, like you have that much of an overhang, which is not, it'd be better to smush that eye down there to make it very clearly a separate thing. I might have pushed that out further, to be honest, to not make it so there's just a lot packed into a small area there. Um, yeah, again with the symmetry, I would vary that, but this is really nice. I like how you achieve that volume. A little difficult to track with the complexity of it, but I think you've done a reasonably good. I think it's lacking there, and this foot is a lot smaller. Again, you're distorting this too much, right? Like really, it's hardly going to be distorted. It's going to be pretty much like, or at least increase the volume or something so that it still feels like it's the same size. You don't want it to really decrease that much. Oh, this foot is that's a different like. Okay, hold on a second. You got different spaces here. This is wider, this is narrower, this is whatever, because this is a side view, so we can't really tell. This is like kind of going out there. So this foot should really be like that. That's interesting. Well, maybe I made it a bit too big, but it's like, the distance needs to be consistent. I'd use your first one as a marker of what you're gonna try to achieve for the rest. I love these volumes though. I like how you achieve that and how you have the lips from the back. I think we see too much of the hat at the top there. We're seeing a small change as this goes over, and then it's suddenly a huge flop. If anything, considering what it looks like in the side view, you'd see the barest little dimple of that top, not much of anything else. Um, so yeah, yeah. And honestly, I would have shown more. This is almost like a pure back view. I would have loved to seen a tiny bit of the face here. You just have to design it. You just have to make it happen. I know it seems like, well, how could I do that? But I mean, look how much think about this. Like, and this goes for everyone's rotation. Think how much of the face you see from the side view. So think about what the back three-quarter view is. It's basically like this, right? We're seeing equal amounts of the back as we are the side. So if we see that much of the side, obviously we don't know how much this little clump of hair is coming out, but this is almost like half of the volume. So it very well, like obviously this could come out further, but like we could very well see the face from the back three-quarter view, and then we get to be able to use that back three-quarter view in the film if we're gonna have this be animated, right? Like it's kind of nice to see the back three-quarter view of the face. Just a thought. That's not super necessary, and people seem to do well without that. But anyway, I hope that helps a little bit. I've got, but either way, from my opinion, you were totally robbed on this. I'd say this is like, I don't know, at least a 13. Why you got 10, like that might be the harshest mark I've seen this year, considering the quality of this. So I don't know. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, no problem. Hope that helps a little bit.
Mm, it
Um,
is. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. And sorry on behalf of, like, you
No
deserve better than
worries.
that. That's for sure. That is crazy. Okay, Sometimes you get them on a bad day. They had they had a bad breakfast, you know. Who knows? But sucks. Is Alma here? Alma, you're here. Great. Welcome, Alma. So your layout. So let's see. Wow, this is 10. Okay. So one of the things I'm finding, Alma, is that the scale is a bit difficult to interpret. The scale is seemingly changing. Oh, okay. There's a few things. So this, and I don't even need to measure the perspective to determine this, and that's how I know that there's an issue here. But you see, the relationship we see to this object over here. We see this much of the side and this much of the top, yada, yada, yada. Every time we see an object that has very clear planes from the sides and the top, we get this sense of like, what is the general like relationship between how much we see the top versus the front that we're facing versus the side. If we see just a little sliver of the top, like we do on this one, that feels like it's pretty close to the eye level, right? That's basically what that tells the viewer. If we don't see the top, like over here on this bookshelf, it's obviously higher than the viewer. Makes sense, right? But it seems like you're a little bit confused about where the horizon line is because if this is this close, I'm like, oh, wait, okay, we still see the top over here. So that means like, where's the horizon line? Like, it seems like it's pretty close to this. I'm gonna guess it's about right there. Oh, it's maybe right in the middle, which is another thing for everyone's, watching. I wouldn't really recommend putting the horizon line dead in the middle. It's maybe slightly higher, but it's on the cusp. So yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just a general tendency I would try to avoid, just because it's kind of like it's like when you just learn perspective, where do you put it? You put it right in the middle, you know? It's that kind of thing. So let me just kind of, oh, I can't really determine from this, but same with this. Nice layering though. I like how you layered things. So okay, this one's we don't really see much of that. So let's just say it's probably more like that. Which looks pretty consistent with this, sure. Um, yeah, so it looks like I'm probably pretty right about where that horizon line is. Um, okay. How does that work? If that's where that horizon, well, let me see. Okay, so maybe it's slightly lower. We'll just say it's somewhere over here. But like if that's that, then where's this going? And it's okay to have different horizon lines, but well, okay, if that one's going here, does that work to go over there? Not really. Um, Hmm. That one's fine. This one might be, let's see where it's, okay, so that's really the true one right there. But then, I mean, this is clearly turned, which is fine, but it's too close. See, if you're going to turn an object, turn it very obviously, right? Like that. That is obvious. It's not according to the grid of the room, which is fine. You should actually do this. In fact, it's funny that some things feel like they're almost like too evenly placed to the ground. But the real issue about this and what I was saying about the relationships of the top and stuff is that we see too much of this top. So do you know what it feels like is happening at the base? It feels like this is tilted up and there's something underneath it. See, it's like tilted towards us. That's the feeling that object gives us. So this now all the things you described here are very fun. And I like when you've layered. Oh, you got a bit of a tangent there. I like how you've layered things generally, but don't do things like this. You see how you gave this narrow little corridor? It's just unlikely that that angle would perfectly be like that angle. Better when you overlap stuff. I really like overlapping. Like overlapping is a great way to show how really like how life really is. Like that's how we see things. We don't have a perfect little position for a coin and then another couple coins. It's just like a little too like you drew it versus like a scene that is just there and I believe it just by looking at it, you know? So yeah, like put a few coins and then maybe one is like actually bending up against that one and then one is behind the two of them. This is a little bit awkwardly on the corner. I'm almost like, is that gonna fall off? Um, this is fun, but I'm a little Whew, wow, okay, there's a lot of stuff. Okay, it's a shop. That makes sense. Yeah. Uh I don't, what does the tree do? It's like it's sitting there, but it has roots. It needs to go through the floor somehow. Like how is that working? Um, this object is very confusing. I think you meant to just do something more like the curvature of that tree, like something maybe like that, I think is what you're going for there. What you did is a bit confusing. And granted, anything is confusing when it's right at the horizon line. So guess what? Don't put stuff right at the horizon line. You'll get the worst view of things. You get situations like this where it's like, here's two sides of a thing. And it's like, what is that thing? I don't know. How do we know? Only because of the base. That's the only way that we can tell what that thing is. This gives us nothing. So you want to try to avoid putting things that close to the horizon line. Some of this stuff is like cutesy, but bordering on slightly unreadable or not unreadable. It's just like I don't quite like, is this a light? I don't know. It's so close to something familiar, but far enough away that it takes me a second to register what that thing is. And here's the thing about sci-fi and fantasy is that if you have too many things that make my brain have to think and work at it to try to understand it, guess what? I'm not. I'm not going to try. Like, and I think that's what you might be experiencing with the reviewers here is that they're like, whoa, okay, I get some of this stuff, but some of it I'm just like, okay, that thing is new, that thing is new, that thing is new. If anything, if you're gonna have things that are like new shapes that aren't quite immediately recognizable to us, then draw multiple of them. That's what people have kind of decided is the thing to do in fantasy and sci-fi, especially in like a big outdoor environments. You have like a bunch of stuff that are similar shapes, and then if because they're all similar shapes and at different points in the environment, we're like, okay, I get it, right? Um, yeah, I'm being a bit overly harsh. I think this is generally quite fun. I don't really know what that thing is. I don't know what that is at all. But and there's coins everywhere. Why is there coins everywhere? He's a shop, but should he just have coins if he's got like 50% off? I'm like, wait, what's going on here? Is he buying stuff or is someone coming in and buying stuff? Yeah, it's a little bit confusing. It's really not that bad though. I again, I think 10 is maybe a little bit harsh, but this thing is trouble for sure. And this whole area is trouble. I don't know. I might understand this mark a little bit more than well, let's see your other one. Is this your character? This is your character, Alma. Okay, this is a super character. I love this character. Um, is he a leprechaun? Is that what you were going for? He's very fun, whatever he is. Feel free to type in the chat or speak. A mailman. I could see he looks like a leprechaun mailman, but he's charming. Why did they even take two marks off of it? I love his width. I think you had a lot of fun with that and just like designing the shape. Um, this feels a little bit like it's floating. It doesn't quite feel like it's um like what's holding it there, I guess. I'm like if anything it would be like at a bit of it might have been good to curve this actually so that it actually kind of wraps around his form a little bit. Um yeah, it is such a fun design, isn't it? Yeah, so that I would have just had it rest there more naturally. It looks like it's just like perfectly straight, like against an otherwise curved form. Although yeah, you know what? You could have given them a bit more roundness in some of these forms so that we know the volume. Because otherwise, what is the volume? It's like, okay, is that the horizon line? Is that the horizon line? Is that the horizon line? It's just like if it's too straight across, we're not sure what the like is it wide or is he paper thin? That's part of what we find out by seeing the volume of that ellipse basically. I like this angle. It's more like that. This one is almost like perpendicular. At least it has that feeling. I might have tilted. Well, I would have actually dropped this foot down a little bit so that it's just touching the ground and then yeah, but done more like that angle. I like that angle. So even if it's coming towards you, try to still make it feel as big. So if you need to push it out a little further, this one, push it out a little further. The knees aren't going to be level. Think of the feet. If the feet are like this, well, that's going to happen here too. One second, folks, my nightlight's coming on. It's telling me not to use my computer at nighttime. Um, Wonderful hands. Love what you did with the line quality there. This is a little tricky. That would be hard to track in 2D animation. Same with this. This is okay from here. Yeah, everything else is okay up there. but just from these angles, you're not going to lose anything by doing this. In fact, you could even just overlap it a little bit and then call it a day and you'd be fine. Yeah. Watch the Persistence of Vision documentary. Maggie has seen it probably because we watched it during the program, but um he talks about there's one part in the movie where it was a bit about this animation that was never made, but he's animating a basket and there's all these rings on it, and then he messes up the number of rings in the basket while he's animating it, and then the director's very hard on him about that, and it's like maybe they shouldn't have had so many rings. So on that same stead, in that same stead, that many little bits of hair is just like as an animator, it makes you really have to think about like one, two, three, four, five, six, it's just a bit of a pain. Everything else is great. But yeah, like to be totally honest, Alma, this is like probably a perfect mark for me. I don't know why they were so fussy with you on this. Um, yeah. Do they want to see the mouth? It's a bit silly, isn't it? I think that's a bit ridiculous. It's a bit odd that the nose doesn't totally connect at any point. I feel like shouldn't it like have a bit of space somewhere, even if you have a heavy nostril? Like it's almost like a beak. But yeah, we're getting a bit fussy here. And now these feet are totally out again. So I yeah, a little symmetrical, but no, it's okay. Um this is a little too straight. Like it should be more see the level and then like that. If this is like this, I mean, maybe you could change this a little bit, but it should still be at a slight angle. Like think about how this works in terms of the ellipse, right? Like that's your ellipse. And so, by the time you get to the top, yeah, maybe it's like that or something. So you could justify maybe not showing the top, but I mean, or you just use the same as the bottom. You just do the same dynamic. So it's like that's the thing. So what does the hat look like then? Yeah, exactly like how you drew it. Um, Something like that. So yeah, so basically you need to use these same angles throughout. So like rather than straight across, like what does it look like if it's placed in 3 dimensions? So always be aware that you're drawing in 3 dimensions. Anyways, yeah, that one they're pretty harsh, pretty harsh. Okay, let's keep going. Fatima, the shoe on the back is confusing. Yeah, could be. Great, Alma. Hope that helps. Okay, Fatima. Oh, 9. Wow. Okay. Right off the bat, too dark. Don't go this dark. Remember, this is not actually a lighting value exercise. If you're going to use values, you're not painting with those values. What you're doing is you're just breaking down elements, foreground, middle ground, background. So much, it should be a lot. Yeah, okay, like this one. Like Alma's here, this is kind of like there's no shading here. It's not like this is light happening, it's just flat, but it helps us to understand. In fact, Alma, you could have broken down this tree so that it's maybe slightly darker than that bookshelf. Because again, that gives us that sense of depth, right? So, but to be honest, and let me see yours, Alma, without any. Yeah, okay. This is about as dark as I would go right there. So use all the spectrums because your line work, you want your line work to be the dominant force. You don't want the tonals to be doing too much. Um, yeah, so this is like I hardly see the lines in this, right? That's how you know you're way too dark. Ooh, yeah. That just Yeah, that doesn't quite work. First of all, Fatima, very fun story. Like obviously, like very I love future juice. That's great. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff going on here. Your line play is a little all over the place. You need to draw in a higher res file. I know that. Well, I mean, no, I mean this is still a smart layer, so it wouldn't maintain its maximum pixel density. So yeah, you drew way too small. You need to at least double this. For everyone doing this, at least 4K. So a good rule of thumb is that you want to draw with at least, and this is minimum, double what the screen ratio is going to be. Most animation when you see it on TV is 1080p, but some things are even 4K these days, and that throws us way into like this giant resolution matrix. But for you, you don't need to worry about that yet. Things aren't going to be on TV. Max DPI is 600. We don't need to talk about DPI at all, Fatima, because DPI is or resolution, however you want to put it. This only applies to print. So first of all, don't worry about DPI at all. Entirely worry. If you're dealing with pixels, this means nothing. Okay? A lot of people are confused about this. This only applies if you're doing this. 8.5 by 11 inches, and then this will make somewhat of a difference of how many pixels. Because what all that this resolution does, or the DPI, is changes the amount of pixels that are in the canvas. So like if you're dealing with pixels to begin with, which if you're working with screens, typically you are, um, you don't even worry, put 3000 for resolution. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference. So this is the pixels of 4K. That's like a 4K file. Me, I go like I call it 4.5K, but it's just 50% larger than this even. So what is that? Yeah, so it's like 5.7. Yeah. So probably Fire Pack will not do this. This is yeah, yeah. So I mean, this is a bit big. You could get away with 4K. 4K is fine. I just am allergic to seeing actual pixels, so I cannot stand when I zoom in and I can't. It just drives me crazy. I light on fire. So yeah, basically just I work larger, but this is fine. Like, and plus you really shouldn't zoom in that far anyways. It's not a good. Yeah, like look at that. Look at those nice lines, right? Um, it's fine as long as you're not zooming in like I do. Anyways. The other thing, so I just want to see, this is really weird. Like I literally don't understand how that would happen because you can't see. Yeah, I don't know where to, well, let me just try and break down what's going on here because the horizon line would be out of the shot. Your line quality is just not great, I'm seeing. Like you've got some weird translucency stuff going on all throughout, and then light coming on over top of the line. Oh boy. So this is a line drawing. I think I've said this enough already, but that alone should just help a lot. So it's up there. So what's that doing? Or maybe it's not. Maybe I got that. Maybe it is where you are. I guess we could assume that it's like lower or something. I'm still getting up there. Or, well, this one's even actually a bit higher, but yeah. Oh boy. If this were the case and this needed to do that, I'd be like, okay, well, we got to change the vanishing point because that is a mess. Yeah, okay. I don't quite, yeah, I'm actually getting it a bit worse than you even. Yeah. See, the thing is like we're in the roof then. Like if this is the case, like wouldn't we aren't we in the roof? Because if this is the horizon line, um, like where would I guess it could be higher and then the roof could be like up here. Um, it's just an awkward situation. You want to not do that for sure. Um, Yeah, a little toady. Don't do any texture brushes, just period. Never again. No, I'm just kidding. But very rarely use a texture brush. Even in your personal work, in your painting, don't like try your best to not rely on them. In fact, at everyone's level of like where you're at in your career as an artist, like better to just pretend they don't exist, really. It will improve your painting. It will force you to learn skills sooner that you're gonna have to learn anyways. Yeah, okay. One little thing I would do personally about this kind of situation where you have all these windows that are different sizes, draw one, draw it straight on like this. Actually, I'm gonna make this a new layer. Um, I'm just gonna duplicate this a bunch. Try your best to get it to be, you know, hey, Photoshop is snapping. How convenient. Okay, I'm just gonna merge these all, and then I'm just gonna place that first one. And then I'm just going to do this. Now, here's the thing. Here's the critical part, though, of this demonstration is that I'm not going to leave it like this. This is just a guide. So if I want to get it a little bit closer, yeah, see, I can tell your spacing is wonky just by looking at this now. I'm using this as my guide. This is my reference layer. I'm going to turn the opacity down a whole bunch, and then I'm going to draw this because then I'll maintain nice line quality because the line quality on those will be garbage. Anytime you're transforming something, line quality goes first. So redraw it. This isn't great. I'm doing it quickly. So yeah, you're definitely having some weird line stuff going on back there. finer lines throughout. Well, except up here. This is fine because it's getting closer. Just a little too dramatic for this. Yeah. I would have loved to have seen this earlier on in the process, Fatima, because this is a wonderful idea. It's just that it needs more workshopping. Anyways, we'll keep going for now. Is this your other one? This is the 13th. Yeah, okay. This feels about on point there. Okay, so the eye, this is a graphic element, but I don't know what that is. I assume it's a sort of an indication of an eyelash. But see, this doesn't look real. It looks like a toy. And maybe she's meant to be a toy, but I don't feel the life in her face. Um, yeah, and this is a bit odd, and it feels larger than that view of the arm. And this is an awkward angle. This area is fine. Uh, don't put the feet totally together. If anything, point them inward more. Yeah, that pigeon-toed would be better for this character probably. They're almost like oddly in line there. Um, yeah, okay. This could really feel a little bit like round, like again, going around a three-dimensional form. Is it not here? Like, is that supposed to be it? It feels way too small. They clearly didn't catch that one. This should be bigger. Like, look where it hits down there. It's like, oh, yeah, it's totally missing from there. Um, I would never have some because you're the one that gets to decide this, remember? So, like, oh, this side perfectly faces the camera, so we have no sense of depth. Nah, like, let's just turn it slightly so that you're getting this, like, view where you see a little bit more of it, but it's still a pretty intense side view, You're the one that gets to decide how much of it. So maybe this one we see the back of it a little bit. So it's not rotating perfectly to the front. It's more like pointing off to the side slightly. But from the front view, we're not going to see much of a difference. It's way closer here. They need to be further apart. Probably same here. This isn't my favorite. I would have pushed this hair back a little bit, brought the head more in, maybe even had the neck visible here, and then so that would come back a bit more in the head, etc. But then I would show the head from here, and now we've got a perfect excuse to. So that eye actually seems more fitting for this. But yeah, I'd love to see like I guess you're trying to get this kind of creepy vibe. But we just need to yeah, we need to see more life in the character. The cute devilish character is a hard one because there's so many of those characters. It's hard to stand out in with that. So you bit off a big challenge here, Fatima. But yeah. Anyways, I hope that helps a bit. Okay, Rama, sure, great, that's yours. Huh, that's funny. You did the same thing as I did when I did my first portfolio. Um, you made your character quite realistic, or at least like aware of anatomy. Challenging. This is a hard road. So you can always choose the realism level of your character, right? And if you head in this direction where you're like, I'm going to show some anatomy, you have to totally commit to that path. You seem somewhat half committed here. It's like sort of cartoon, sort of not. Yeah, that's yeah, a little bit better for a graphic novel, I'd say, for a character like this. Because what I mean by like you have to fully commit is that like this anatomy doesn't make sense right there. This makes sense at the back. But that doing that and then doing that connection doesn't feel believable. It would have been better to bring this down, overlap this if the arm is facing out this way, overlap that, and then do that because of the layering of the muscles essentially. But like, how could you know that? You don't know anatomy perfectly. You're just beginning this, right? Um, well, exactly. And therefore, I probably wouldn't go in the direction of like approaching a sort of realistic character because yeah, you're gonna have stuff like this and it's gonna look mostly fine. It does look mostly fine, but they're gonna notice that like, that anatomy looks a little bit funny. When the bicep isn't doing anything, by the way, it kind of just sits there. It's not like it just rests. So to see a bulge like that, only if like it's actually moving upward do you see that bulge, right? Like something along these lines. And then the tricep is pretty much always hanging out here doing that. Sometimes it's more intense, sometimes it's less intense. Yeah, and good for you, Rama. Like it's challenging. You did a challenging thing and landed like in a okay mark, like 75%. It's not bad. But yeah, it's you bit off a big challenge here. So you duplicated the hand. Yeah, so guys, I'm telling you all to not do this. Any shortcut, like think about what this communicates to the portfolio reviewers, right? Like they know that you can do this. They know that you can grab it and flip it and so they'll know that you've done that. And so one thing that tells them is I don't want to go through the effort of drawing another hand. Is that a good thing to communicate? That's like saying like um on a math test, like, hey, I have this calculator. Like, why bother to learn long division now? Well, I guess that's actually a bad example because I don't think any of you probably know long division by hand, but at least what I heard is that they don't teach it in schools anymore. But yeah, like you don't want to flaunt the fact that there's ways to make things easier, especially in today's age, honestly. If anything, you want to go the extra mile to be like, look, I'm going to draw one hand and I'm going to draw another hand and it's going to be rotated differently just so that I can show off and be like, hey, look, I see that much hand. Oh, now or rather palm. And now I see the palm from this angle. Ha ha. I can draw hands any different direction you give it something like that. That's much better to communicate. What's going on here? Is that like a fashion choice or is that because this knee looks odd. The weird thing about that knee is it looks like we're seeing it from a profile view, right? Like something kind of like that. Why is it like anyway, it you wouldn't see that knee really if it was like that. Like you'd see it facing us. It's not going to really look like much from unless they're very knobby knee, but like nothing else about the character is that way, so that would be a bit odd. Good for you. So I see a little bit more of this foot than the inside of that foot. So, that's a good choice. The weight is leaning on one leg dominantly. That's a nice decision. Um, yeah, this is a challenging thing, Rama, but basically you've unfortunately kind of hit a very well-trodden trope in terms of character design with having sort of an elf warrior princess like character. And that probably isn't what you were going for, but or maybe it was, I don't know. But just know that it could be interpreted that way. They could interpret it that way. And so that is another one of these character design things that is like too many have been done. It's to make one new, you'd have to well, actually, what I would do, and this is what I encourage students to do in my world building and character design class, is basically to apply, you need more like adjectives to describe this character. So she's a criminal witch. Okay, so I would have loved the criminal thing to be um, explored more. I'm seeing that a little bit more now, but I mean, the chains are the one of the main things that, like, other than that, I don't quite see criminal. She looks too upright and like kind of put together. She almost looks like a gym bro or a gymnast or something. Um, yeah, like she's too like she's more like an Olympic athlete, honestly. I have a whole bunch to say at this profile view, but we'll get to that. Um, but yeah, a little too geometric in spots. Like you've got these fully rounded, realized anatomical areas, and then like this, it's like how does this go on the same character that has a hand like that? Like it's much curvier and nicely described. Like this should have happened up here, in my opinion. Like it's like too suddenly like sharp and geometric. Same with this piece here. Like, holy moly, there's no curves in this whole thing, but there's curves everywhere else. So that's a bit of a weird harmony thing. This has no flow to it. Your profile is probably for me the most lacking area. You need to study anatomy from the side a bit more because there is a real significant flow to how the torso should really move. And there's a lot of flex here. Like you can do a lot to change this up. But there is this general like kind of flow of the body, basically. And some people will have their arms. more forward. This would be a good character for that actually, because they're criminal. They're kind of sketchy, like arms forward, that sunken chest kind of vibe. Like the Joker, right? Like that's a good kind of maybe motif. Maybe not quite, but and then the head. So like the flow of this needs to there you just need a little bit more flow. This is like stacked boxes, right? It feels too rigid. Arm feels too short. She feels younger. The chest is reading a bit odd from this view. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this view. And this, I don't quite see. This is actually more of a back view. Yeah, it's like totally a back view. Like look at the feet. We need a back three-quarter view. So remember, like this, right? Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. So anyways, I would have, yeah, so it would have helped to have angles, throughout here to make it, and then the feet would be something like that or something. But you need to dig deeper into this character more. The personnel needs to come through. How did you do? Yeah, I'd say that's honestly pretty good. Yeah, okay. Wow. Okay. So I'm saying wow because this is the wild perspective. Like it's just a very dramatic. Like you have this intense fisheye. I mean, like look at this carpet. Holy moly! So it's a real fisheye view, which is risky, very risky. In fact, to be honest, I think they were a bit generous with you here, Emma, because this is a challenging view. This is another situation where you've taken on a tremendous challenge here by doing it this way. Um, and you cannot have a 1 point perspective wall once you've committed this far. There's no way. I mean, we have the 2 points right there, right? So like how is that wall? Yeah. I'm not sure where to begin here, to be honest. There's a lot that's feeling weird. And like what is this ward? Yeah, I think in short, you should take my perspective class. I think it would help. Even just to practice putting the the horizon line at different points, like high, medium, low, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point perspective. Because you could do a 1 point perspective. You are allowed to do that. You could do a 2 point perspective. You could do a mild 3 point perspective and not be too intimidated by that third point. There's so many things that you could have done with this that could have made this more readable. Um, and you've got a story here. Like yeah, there's beginnings of a story. It's just it definitely needs more development for sure. Um, this wall back here is throwing me like a huge wrench in here because I'm trying to imagine you've got both 1 and 2 point kind of perspective or something. Oh, I see. You're doing no. Yeah, you can't like yeah. Uh oh, are you trying to tell us that the horizon line is right on the floor? But it can't be because, or somewhere around here, because then where we're standing, we can see the top of that bed. But if the horizon line is on the floor, then we're like the height of an ant, so we couldn't possibly see that bed. Anyway, this is just the beginning. So yeah, yeah, okay. Well, good for you, Ram. I mean, yeah, it's just yeah, it's a challenging, yeah, yeah. You just need to study a little more perspective. Watch BAM Animation's wonderful video they've made on backgrounds, on drawing backgrounds and animation. It's awesome. They'll give you so many tips. Um, okay, okay. Um, yeah, yeah, right on. That's totally true, Sydney. Yeah, I mean, I started perspective like this, guys. I remember being in perspective class and just drawing boxes in space, except not freehand, just boxes in space. This is how we often start with perspective, don't we? It's like another box in space, and now we're gonna turn a box in space. It's just there, turning a box in space. This isn't honestly a bad for a place to start, but nonetheless, yeah, yeah. A good rule of thumb, by the way, just not to get into a whole background lecture here, but try putting 1 point in the not in the middle, first of all. Try putting like 1 point in the shot and then 1 point very far away. This is a much better approach than doing 1 point perspective. Um, because it just will give you like, let me kind of show you what it's going to look like here. It's going to be like, it gives you one really dramatic wall and one wall where you can actually see the stuff that's on it, something like that. This is a great place to start. But don't stop with the box. Make the room interesting. Make it like a hallway or something, or like or there's another door and we see someone coming out of here and then the murder is right around the corner or something like, and then this person's like, did I just hear something? Tell a story and make the room more dynamic. Um, Put bits where aren't that break the just being a basic square. Maybe this is like the front foyer or something, or the front whatever, and there's a door, and then the cops are coming in. I don't know. Um, like it's a more dynamic angle immediately, and it kind of tells and we get this wider view of the room so we can see some stuff going on. And then you fill it with like objects. Maybe they're broken, maybe all of them are turned, maybe there's broken glass on the ground. Like immediately, like something like that would work. Okay, awesome. Um, well, yeah, let's have a look here. So 10, wow, okay. That is harsh. So Kinga, okay, wow. It's getting pretty crazy busy back there. This would have been, and then you have so much space. So you have a real dichotomy between the detail dense areas. Wow, actually, some of these detail areas are incredible. Look at the work you did there. So it's so interesting. You have such an interesting issue here where like you have this beautifully rendered texture. You're more like a fine artist in some ways, or like an illustrator, where you can really render the heck out of things and get them to look really great. But then there's these areas where then suddenly we're into like very simplified, more cartoony kind of style. You need to harmonize this with that, or this. Now, I'm not saying you need to make everything busy, but everything needs to feel rendered to the same level. Whereas some things are just like, I'm a cartoon, I'm real life, I'm a cartoon, I'm real life. It just has a bit of this like kind of variation. Wow, amazing job. Like some of this is okay, your line quality is really falling apart back here. That's a solid object. It should really feel more solid. This is feeling like it's tilting downward too much, almost like it's like kind of warping. It's not bad, but I noticed that slightly. Okay, good for you. Tilted something. It's good to tilt the odd thing. This feels odd. Feels like just not quite believable. We need to see like moving back slightly. Yeah, I would have turned this even a little bit to make it just feel like not placed on that table perfectly. It feels a bit too perfect. And this is where like I can tell that there's a difference from what you did over here, right? That stuff is great. This is like somewhat, but it's not totally readable. Um, they're being a bit lost in all the chaos around them. It would have been better to choose an angle that would have made that a little bit more obvious, or put less immediately behind her, almost like a halo. But you can't really do that when you have so much stuff. And this table is a bit deep. I think it feels like a little bit longer than I think you're intending it to be. Oh, I see. There's another one. Oh, well, maybe. Okay. Line quality is falling apart here. Line quality is falling apart all up here. So there's a lot of line quality issues. Um, got some great stuff going on here. This card feels a bit like weird water. I don't, the furry texture just isn't quite reading. And then I feel like there's so many areas that are just like kind of weirdly empty. I don't know. Yeah. You have a texture density issue here. It's like just too not even enough. 13. Well, that's pretty good, Kinga. I mean, ideally for an international student, you're going to score one higher at least, but um, I love her face from here. It weirdly feels flat here. Okay, here is good and here is good. That feels like the first one. Something about your three-quarter view is feeling a bit flat. I don't know if I'm going to totally be able to find this today. Um, well, first of all, it just how we're still, yeah. Yeah, I mean, here it might have made sense to actually leave a bit of a gap so that the cheek is doing that, and then this kind of floods out that way. because then you've also made room to do that here, which would have kind of made a little bit more structural sense. Um, and it feels more dramatic there. Look at your kind of overall shapes. Um, and then it goes so narrow. And then suddenly, wait, did I just widen it? No. So that's part of why. Well, what if we just made it narrower? And then I think this needs to be more dramatic. And maybe push that mouth further out. Um, I don't know, something. Face stuff is hard because it's tiny little details and just moving them around constantly. Um, yeah, their chest is just totally level. Remember from this view, so is the shoulders. Like these are at a different vantage point, so probably so should everything else be a little bit at an angle. And that's you got a bad tangent there with sort of the tip and her arm. So ideally, yeah, it doesn't have that. Um, Foreshortening is like, yeah, okay, with those fingers, it feels like you did this. It's not a good vibe. Same here and same there. Like one, if anything, one should be dominant, and then you can maybe tuck the other two. But like, yeah, I would never totally group them like that. Wow, wonderful feat, Kinga. Your dancing nature is coming out here. I don't think we'd see that knee from here at all. I wouldn't worry about that. If anything, we might see a little hamstring thing. Um, yeah, honestly, we might even see the calf from this side. Um, it's very conceivable that we would actually. Yeah, wow. Challenging and you kind of nailed it in the feed, in my opinion. But yeah, the arm is getting thinner there than it is here. It's very small things. I don't know. It's a bit odd. The line quality is a little all over the place. You have these fine line areas, and then like some interior lines are dense, and then some interior lines are lighter. So your line quality could use some work throughout. That might have been a point alone. And then I don't know, it might have been one of those other things, but I mean, really not. Well, yeah, I mean, 13 is a pretty good mark. So, okay. And here's a 14. So, I mean, Maggie, this is great. I don't know if you're gonna like for yeah. I don't know where you might have lost that mark. I love this character and I always told you this. So, I don't know. This is a funny thing, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. In my opinion, this is just such a fun character. I might have done something more to overlapping the mouth there. You could have maybe got a little bit more expression in the face, like if you gave him like a cheek or something, or he has like a big smile and he looks less like dead here, and maybe this eye would actually be a little bit further forward, and maybe the lid is overshoots the eye a little bit, just to help make him feel slightly less dead. He feels a little bit dead in a way, but I don't know. I mean, not really. I think he's still very fun. I don't know, Maggie. This is whenever we get to like the 1 point question, it's always like, who knows? Like it could be anything. Um, okay. Wait, 15. 15 is a perfect mark. Um, Maggie, what's going on here? You submitted a perfect drawing. Well, change nothing because you got 15 out of 15. So I don't know. And this background is charming. Yeah, that's a bit the line quality is a bit off right there. But yeah, great like book variation. I love when you vary books or vary things on shelves generally. But yeah, no, this is wonderful. I don't know. I mean, don't change 15 out of 15, Maggie. I don't know why you handed this to me. But yeah, good. Good to go, apparently. Um, ooh, 7. Oh boy. Okay, Olivia. Yeah, you gotta, I don't know, double that mark. Um, okay, so, well, oh, they don't like phones. Oh no, I wish I saw this earlier. For everyone, they hate phones. Especially as a storytelling element in the storyboard. So just know this for next year because it is, I've heard this, that they do not like when you use phones, especially with like animal characters. It's just a bad element where the phone just can do everything. So it's like it's not Fatima, what do you mean about phones? Anyways, if it is that. Yeah, basically the phone is like this it's this like it's like a you probably don't know the term Deus Ex Machina, but it was a term that was used in Greek tragedy of the sort of God coming in and saving the day and just rescuing the character from pure chaos and oh, suddenly he's just fine. You know, you see this in movies all the time. This is a film element. Um, and it's kind of like a phone in a way. It just is this thing that does everything. And so it's this kind of lazy device that doesn't, it just doesn't really. I kind of hate phones too, to be honest, for the same reason, but much better to like have somebody. Well, first of all, like, why do they need to be on the phone? This story would work without them on the phone. There's a laser that enters the thing. I wouldn't have them look up because then I'm like, oh, what's up there? It makes me think that. Have them just looking down here, what they're doing. What's wrong with that? And then instead of looking down, they look over there. Easy. Um, this is a weird cut because now it's heading that direction and we just saw it moving this direction. And I'm also a bit confused where I am. It's like the camera is now. Yeah, this is not a good transition right here. Oh boy, this camera's just going nuts. So then we rotate all the way around the back and then they leap this way. Yeah, something about that is not. Oh boy. Okay, this camera. Olivia, your camera is absolutely wild. I don't know where we are. Like yeah, this is panel 4, panel 5. Yeah, I don't um because we were just here, but then we're like back here? Here? Oh no, that's the bowl. Okay, I see. Okay. You sort of set that up, but that could have been done 1,000 times differently. It's the angle choice, basically, that's making this. I like that it's doing a human thing though, and it turns to be an animal, and suddenly I'm doing an animal thing. I think that's quite fun. This is, yeah, you did this reasonably well, Olivia. I kind of like this shot where it's just zooming all around, and then he catches it. Okay. Um, this hand could be more expressive. That almost looks like a finger, not a chalk. And also, what is this? We don't have any context of what this is prior to this point, nor do I know what it is even now. It's some kind of thing that's just standing there. Um, I get the vibe though. He catches it and he's like, point one for me. Okay, game on again. Um, yeah, we need to talk about cameras next time. And granted, this is a challenging story to do this because it's like there's a lot of action, but yeah, your cameras are making it kind of almost unreadable, and just very difficult to lock onto where we are. And that's something that you want to make almost effortless. We shouldn't be thinking at all when we see the camera change from one section to the next. So yeah, that's a we could do a lot to make that more clear. And then this posing is very stiff. There should be maybe a more clear arc through the pose. Um, tilt the head more. Tilt the head different directions. It just allows you to get more expressive capability in that posing. Um, yeah, this doesn't quite look like the character. This isn't the arm of that character. It's got like a kind of beefier arm with like these little fingers, as far as I remember. Yeah, like really refer to the character model sheet. I feel like you're a little off model here. That's a little closer, but then stiff. You need more arc, more arc in the posing. Um, yeah, the face is relatively on point, but yeah, okay, okay, folks. Okay, let's have. Does anyone have any questions? This was only an hour. Wow, I thought it'd be a lot more, but if anyone has any questions just about the portfolio generally, or um, yeah, please feel free to ask. This is a great time where, this is a free session. So yeah, ask me some questions. That's a good point, Fatima. It limits the character's action. Yeah. Yeah, it's just this thing that's always like this or like this. And it's like that isn't a good pose. So better to use like a phone from like with a cord, you know. None of you were even probably born for those phones. Um yeah. Well, maybe there's no questions. But if not, I'll just um quickly show you some of what we're up to. We've got a couple cool new things that we're doing. This summer, we have a frame by frame summer animation class that's all summer. It's every week. Every week there's a class and a feedback session. And we're doing actual 2D frame by frame animation. Very, very excited about this. Um, Sydney, it's not going to arrive in time. I do this during our feedback sessions too, where I try to get our students to submit it in advance. But try to submit it now, and maybe it will arrive. But almost always, it doesn't arrive on time. There's always a slight delay, despite being the internet. Um, but maybe do submit it. And then the other thing I want to share is just we have a whole bunch of cool, just one-off classes coming up that we don't normally do this, but I talked to Juan and Mahi, the two of our other instructors, and they're both fantastic. And they wanted to teach a class. So, anyways, we're each teaching a class very much close to our hearts here. I'm doing figure drawing and dynamic character posing. So it's kind of merging figure drawing with character design a little bit. So we're learning anatomy. We're doing a lot of what we talked about tonight, actually, where we're doing actual figure drawing and then studying anatomy really intensely, and then trying to figure out like what elements of the anatomy we want to exaggerate in characters and how to use life drawing directly in character design to give you good character designs to begin with and think of like cool characters from the pose and such. So we'll be doing a lot of that kind of stuff. Juan's course is really interesting, so interesting that I might take it because it's all about making a very, very tiny short film. This was an exercise at Sheridan, and or maybe it was an extracurricular thing. I'm not sure, but it's like he made like a 15-second film. It was very short, and it's more of like a situation or like a scene, but it walks you through the whole process from like animation to color, to a little bit of compositing, a little bit of video editing, a little bit of storyboarding. It's like a little microcosm of that whole film that you'll make in fourth year at Sheridan, or third year as a group. So really cool. You'll learn a bunch of awesome software that you're going to need to learn at some point anyways. Mahi's is going to be very heavily about background and environment design, and specifically color. She is a color whiz. She is fantastic. Just while I'm waiting for yours, Sydney, I will just show you some of Mahi's work because it's ridiculous. Uh, Here it is. So Mahi did a warrior art camp. Some of you may know this. She's actually like stopped going to Sheridan to just be hired as a background artist. So she's really awesome. Here's that one that I used in the thing. Yeah, warrior art camp. Probably a great school. Really, really cool. Wow, look at that one. Really fun use of color, like really. And I've hired her for projects before. She's fantastic. Look at this, just insane. Anyway, that's Mahi. So yeah, very excited for hers as well. Going to be a lot of viz dev kind of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on with us for the next little while. We might do another summer class as well, but it's yet to be decided. Okay. Let's see, Sydney, if it's okay. What did you score, Sydney? 11. Okay. Um, yeah, it's kind of fun. The shoulders are very like horizon liney, like they're just totally flat, like we never see the top or below or anything. They're just always level. So that's making it a little bit rigid. I do like the hands. They're fun. And I like the angles you drew, and you achieved that pretty well. I don't love the back three-quarter view though. Um, the legs are a bit stiff. I get that this is a bit of a stiff character generally, but it's one thing to be a stiff character and like it still needs to have some flow even in the stiffness. This isn't quite feeling like it's going around as much as it feels like a bit flat. The midsection generally feels a little bit flat. The head is just a circle that could have been diversified a little bit more. The nose feels a little bit more like a toy. The back three-quarter view is more like a back view or back 7/8 view than a three-quarter. I think we'd probably see a little bit of the face from the back three-quarter view. And I don't love the boots. The boots feel too like toy kind of cookie cutter. Yeah, I would have just designed those boots a little bit more interestingly. Um, Good shapes. Like I like the shapes. Like in the hat is it adds a lot, but the circle could be a bit more diverse. You could have given him like a dense jaw or something, and I don't see where the neck inserts into it. We need to have the jaw and then the back of the head, not all as one big globe. Although that is kind of the it's kind of how we begin drawing faces, right? It's like it's a big circle, you know. It's good to step forward from there, I'd say. But hope that helps a little bit, Sydney. Do you think Sheridan prefers um wait, how I can improve my line art? Oh, Fatima. Well, Fatima, I mean, one thing is you need that bigger file, like I mentioned. Like you really, I mean, this line art's fine. This is great. Um, do that, but in the background. And yeah, mostly like yeah, you have, and things are just too thick. This should be smaller for how far back it is. This is too deep, and this line is huge. Another thing you could try, Fatima, is like give yourself a limit. So like you know how there's the thick and thin on brushes? This is actually a tip that might help anybody. You have your in no one uses Photoshop anymore, but nonetheless, you have your thick and thin, right? So this is a cool secondary thing to consider that a lot of people don't know about. So you have your size, but you also will have a minimum diameter. What is it? If you don't touch that at all, it's normally at 0. You get this real extreme between thick and thin, right? If you bring this minimum up a little bit, see my little demonstration thing down there? It's less extreme. So you can't, even if I press hard, it doesn't change as drastically. And so if you reduce your brush size, even if I press harder, it goes a little darker, but not that much harder. So it still has thick and thin, but it's not as drastic. So it'll keep your line quality a little bit more in check. Also, hold string mode is, I mean, probably all of you know about this, but almost every software has this now. Like if I freehand this, look at that. I can even breathe and talk while I'm doing this, which I don't normally do. So yeah, that's not bad. I probably should have gone thinner as I got back, but yeah, you need thinner at the back for sure. Practice, yeah, definitely just need to practice. Do you think Sheridan prefers not more non-animal characters for the turnaround? That a lot. I noticed that a lot. Wait, non-animal characters. I've seen so many successful portfolios with animal characters, Rama. In fact, I love animal characters. I think you should do animal characters. I definitely don't think they prefer human, that's for sure. But the funny thing is, one of my character design exercises, another one that I give in world building back in character design, is to, if you have a human character, add animalistic attributes into them. Think of like Zootopia, but reverse. Just like with Zootopia, they thought of like, okay, what is the character, what is the animal, and how do we like find the human that that would represent? You're doing the opposite. That wait, sorry, did I say that wrong? Like like they have the animal, they think of the animal type based on the kind of role in society that the animal is, right? It's not random. Like the bull is the police chief, right? It totally makes sense. So similarly with humans, if you're doing a police chief, make them like bull-like, that would be a good. So I love that. I love bringing like animalistic attributes into your character either way. But yeah. So yeah, definitely don't worry about what kind. And even with a trope, like you can make a trope really original, but you need to add some adjectives to it to help describe that character. I have this whole character profiling kind of worksheet I do with students. But anyways, yeah. Oh, Rama, let's see. Oh, I think I answered your question. Oh, great. Okay. Oh, non-person, like an animal character. Yeah, I think animals are great. You can make humans interesting. Either one. It's not about the thing and what it is. It's like making it good. Unfortunately, that's the yeah. Uh, That's a good suggestion, Abigail. Simpler things first. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's all good advice too. Great, folks. Well, thanks for coming. I hope this helped a little bit. And I hope it helps everyone watching at a later point. But yeah, I mean, this portfolio is just it was so different when I was applying way back when. Like the passing grade for my year was 76, 76 domestic. Can you imagine? What a time. But even still, it was super hard because no one posts their portfolio. Well, there was hardly YouTube, so like people maybe used it, but no one was posting their portfolios online. The technology just wasn't that easy. So it was a different age, but yeah. It was the funny thing is it wasn't that much low. I mean, at least maybe it is for international setting, I'm not sure, but for domestic, it was pretty similar. I looked at it recently. I was like, oh, yeah, it's pretty similar to what we paid. But yeah, I mean, it's a great program. But the best thing about it is that it attracts amazing folks. And like the students that I see every year, I'm just like, wow, like you guys are making this program. Like all of your energy and your abilities, you being here is what makes this awesome. And there's nothing in the program itself that is like untouchable or like perfect. It's all the people and the faculty, the wonderful teachers, and it's just yeah, those are the elements, not like the school itself or any mystical thing. It's just like the great folks that go to it. Um, That's no problem, Fatima. 69 is fine. First time, like people get like 50, 40. Like, yeah, 69 is no problem. And you're still in high school. Oh, you got to forgive yourself. That's incredible. Yeah. We had one student that had 63 in the first time she applied, and she just got like a 96 or something. Erin, who's part of our complete animation portfolio bundle with Maggie and Olivia and Kinga. Yeah, she just like totally blew her previous score out of the park. So there's so much that you can do in 1 year. Yeah. Anyway, I'll leave this for you guys for the recording. But otherwise, I hope this helped. And if anyone has any questions about any of our training options, please just reach out anytime. You can book a call. We can chat about it, work out payment plans, whatever you guys want to do. We're available. All right. Thanks for coming, folks. Thanks for submitting your work. Take care. Goodbye.